Welcome to Generation Rise, the podcast with Marcus Bell. Thank you so much, Rise family, for coming in and checking me out again here today. Now, a couple of days ago, the verdict of the Derek Chauvin, sorry, I can't pronounce his name. You would probably know him better as the officer that's at the center of the death of George Floyd. The verdict of his trial was given, and the verdict came back guilty on all counts, right? So after I heard about the verdict being in and what the verdict was, I took a look around on the internet and social media, just something that I do most of the time when things go down, just to see what the pulse of the people is, just to see what people are saying, what they're feeling, how they're thinking about whatever happened. So I came across a variation of feelings related to the decision. Some people felt relief. Some people felt proud that it felt like things were changing and he was being held accountable for his actions. But as I went through things, there was one statement that really kind of stood out to me far and above anything else that I had kind of read at the time. And the statement came across and it said, "Guilty. Now give him the chair." Now, for my Rise family that don't really understand what that means, give them the chair. My interpretation of that is that the person is insinuating that the officer should get the death penalty. He should be put into the electric chair. His life should be taken away. And it got me thinking, does putting him in the chair, does putting him to death really hit at making change? And I asked that question because from my perspective, ever since the George Floyd death and all the police-related deaths of black people and things like that, Black Lives Matter movement, and really the political climate that is kind of around right now. And I'm referring to President Trump, the Capitol riots, racism, on and on. All of those things are about impacting and enacting change, in my opinion. Changing in the way that we police black and brown people. Change in the embedded mindsets of some people in this world. Changing in the way that we deal with racism, prejudice, and just really changing in the way that we have compassion and empathy for our fellow man. So, if we put him in the electric chair, does that really change any of our mindset, change any of the way that we do things? Or does putting him in the chair actually give him an easy way out and somewhat keep us in that old, it's an eye for an eye type of mindset, you do to me, I do to you type of a way of doing things? Now, I'm not going to act like I have answers. These are just some of the questions that had my mind moving as I went through social media and I was thinking about the verdict. But as it also made me think about a previous podcast that I had done. And in it, I talked about needing the wisdom of the elders and young people's energy. And I think that if we are not able to inject young energy into our leadership, we're going to continue to have some of the same issues that consistently kind of repeat itself. Because I think that as we are continuing to attempt to operate in old values and beliefs that no longer evolve with the future, we're likely to lead into destruction because our leadership does not reflect where we are or where we're going as a country or as a people, as a world in general. So I really think we need to find a way to interject young energy into leadership positions, and that goes in corporations, government, police, across the board. So my Young Rise family, I need you all to start preparing yourself to not just rise to the occasion, but to prepare for where you'd like to see the world go. And just to take it a step further, as I was driving one day into work and I was praying, a thought came to my mind. And the thought that kind of resonated within my mind and my spirit was the biblical line that says, "Vengeance is mine, saith the Lord." And the statement by the person that said that guilty, now put him in the chair, to a certain extent, that person is made his mind up on what the punishment should be for the action. But biblically, vengeance or punishment, retribution for whatever the wrong is that was done really belongs to the Lord to handle. So then that made me also think, what if the vengeance that we seek does not align with what the vengeance is that the Lord hands down? What do we do? How do we operate within that? So there are going to be times, Rise family, when the punishment or the vengeance or the response to any given situation is not going to be what you think it should be. And many times, the impulse that we all have when we face a situation is to immediately respond in the same or greater force or energy of whatever we're faced against. The problem with the impulse is that most of the time when we're impulsive in responding to something, we're not thinking things completely out, which oftentimes leads to greater problems down the line. So, Rise family, be careful of how you respond to certain situations. Now, I'm going to move a little bit beyond the political side of things, and I'm going to show you how this relates to everyday life. So, in sports, there are going to be times where a ref blows a call, costs you a game. Should that ref no longer ref games anymore? You know, this type of thing happens in school all the time. Have you ever felt like a teacher treats you unfairly? Then you give that teacher attitude and frustration, and then you end up in trouble and you feel like you're justified in how you responded because you felt like you were treated unfairly. You have a fallout with somebody. You have a fallout with a friend, and then somehow you get your hands on some inappropriate pictures of that person, and then you start showing people. Word gets out that you have inappropriate pictures, you've been sharing them and get around in school, and then you end up suspended, or even worse, because of your response to being angry and wanting to get back at somebody. Let me take it a step further. Some of my Rise family are athletes, and in the NBA, there is a person by the name of Draymond Green. Draymond Green plays for the Golden State Warriors in the NBA. So in 2016, in the 2016 NBA Finals, the Golden State Warriors had a series lead of 3 wins versus 1 loss in the best of 7 series against the Cleveland Cavaliers. In Game 4, Draymond Green ended up getting a flagrant foul after getting tangled up with LeBron James and then flinging his arms out and hitting LeBron James in the groin area. Now, he wasn't suspended for the next game simply because he got a flagrant on LeBron James. He got suspended because he had already had 3 other flagrant points in the playoffs. And in the NBA, if you get 4 or more flagrant points or 4 or more flagrant fouls in a particular playoffs, then you're automatically going to be suspended for at least a game. Right? So what ended up happening is that he suspended for the next game. They lost the game, and Cleveland ended up coming back and winning the series. Now, that's not to say that him getting ejected and him being suspended cost them the series, but it definitely caused a shift in the momentum of the series. But let me break it down even a little bit more. Same person, Draymond Green, and this happened just a couple of months ago. Draymond Green was ejected from a game with 9 seconds left against the Charlotte Hornets. There was 9 seconds left on the clock, and his team was up by 2 points. He got ejected and was assessed 2 technical fouls. When you get a technical foul, you get a one-shot free throw. So he got assessed 2. The Hornets got the opportunity to shoot 2 free throws. They knocked down both free throws, and they were also awarded the ball because of the technical foul. So they hit both free throws, tied the game up, and then went on to hit a game-winning shot at the buzzer because Draymond Green let his impulses get the best of him from a call that he didn't think should have happened. So he gave the referees an earful. They gave him 2 technical fouls, and he cost his team a game. So his impulsive responses to seeking vengeance or seeking to make right what he felt like he was wrong not only impacted him by getting ejected, but it impacted the team. He basically opened up the door for the Hornets to go in and win the game. Sometimes your impulsive responses will only impact you. But sometimes impulsive responses that happen consistently will begin to impact other people, will begin to impact those around you, and then there will be bigger problems and consequences that come for those impulses. Even just recently, after the verdict of the George Floyd police officer case, there was another incident in which a cop shot a young black teen and killed her. LeBron James sent out a tweet in response to that, "You're next." Now, I want my Rise family to be very careful not to have the impulse to lump every situation as the same circumstances. The circumstances of the George Floyd case is not something that is going to be able to be a cookie cutter thing that you can apply to every police shooting that involves a young black person or just a young person or a person in general. Right? So LeBron tweeted this out and he ended up deleting it. And possibly that's because he didn't have all the facts surrounding the case. So do not make impulse decisions that may affect other people around you. LeBron James has a huge platform and he has a lot of people that follow everything that he says and everything that he does. Who knows what that type of talk, and I'm sure it wasn't his intention, but that type of talk could incite something, or what's actually happening right now is that it is giving other people that are looking to nitpick and pick apart the way things are said, it's saying that he's trying to be divisive and hateful in that. He's trying to incite violence against the police and things of that sort. So his impulse to, out of anger and looking for accountability in our police system and the way that people are policed and how situations are handled, is now getting twisted to fit the narrative that certain people want to have. So Rise family, I want you to be very careful of how impulsively you're acting in response to different situations. What I can tell you, Rise family, is that you are not the decider of fate, nor are you the judge, jury, and executioner of everything that happens, of every situation that you face, or everything that goes on around you that you see. It's one thing to have an opinion, but make sure that the opinion that you have is informed, and make sure that it's not only built out of anger. It's not only built out of frustration. It's not only built out of displeasure. The other thing that I want to tell you to remember, Rise family, is that remember this line: vengeance is mine, saith the Lord. What I can promise you is that what God can do to handle or remedy any situation that you face, I don't care how bad it is or what it is much greater than anything that you can ever do on your own to make a situation right. Listen, Rise family, thank you so much for coming in and checking me out again today. I really do appreciate your time. I appreciate your love. I appreciate your support. If you'd like to reach out to me, feel free to do so, and I actually encourage you to do so. You can reach out to me on Twitter at RiseENT1, Instagram, The Rise Generation, YouTube, Generation Rise. This podcast is available on all your favorite podcast hosts, so please like, share, subscribe, send it to your friends, send it to your family. Thank you so much again. I love you. God bless you. Now go be great.